Hello everyone, welcome back, and let's talk about Star Trek. And it did go from bad to worse, in my opinion. So, the last video, I said a few things that upset some people, and I can understand why. I mean, I probably should have, I don't know what I should have done really, but that was just the way I felt about it. So I guess it was just a knee-jerk reaction because I had just watched episodes 1 and 2. Well, I have finished with that, and now I'm ready to tell you about episode 3. Now, I'm sure you've probably already heard. It's gone from bad to worse, but maybe some of it is my opinion, and I think that they were trying to totally gear this to a younger audience that didn't want it. I mean, that's what it looks like. And it looks like they were trying to copy Star Wars a little bit, kind of get that little youthful edge going, but it just didn't click. And I'll tell you some of the specifics that I thought really ran it down. First off, I got some notes. Got 2 pages of notes because I went back and watched it because I wanted to give it a fair assessment. And I also watched some more of the YouTube videos that people were putting out. There's a lot of venom out there. Venoms in my comment, venoms in the YouTube videos they're making. I think I ticked off a few people, but that was the weirdest video. I never thought anybody would really look at it, and it turned out more people watched than I have ever had anybody watch. So I don't expect this one to do the same. But let's start off for the few that came back, because it's snowing out there. Maybe a lot of people don't have any power, so a lot of people aren't putting out videos today. First off, when they started off, they started class, and they had this robot flying through the air. You saw him on the last 2 episodes, if you watched. And in the class, the robot floated around past the teacher, and she hit it on the head and said, "Ouch." Why would a robot say ouch like that for just barely a little tap? And so, and the only thing I can think of is they're trying to do a R2-D2, and they had these flying robots, and so they said instead of one R2-D2, we could just have a whole bunch of them flying around. And I like special effects, but I like it when it deals with the story. I mean, if they had those robots in a serious story, then yes. But there was nothing serious about this. This was all about macho man. That's all it was. And they had a test to see how good they could do in battle. Well, they gave him some equipment and it worked correctly, and but it was just almost in a childlike manner, you know, and the guys were just too macho, except for that Klingon. The surprising one. And so I'll get to him later on. And I think what this is showing, this is it's just miscasting 101 for anybody that's over 18. I mean, I'm trying to say that one of the people I watched actually liked it, and it was a young fella. So, I mean, he was like, you know, this looks at that, to him, this was really a good show to look at. And I mean, I listen to him, I can see where he's coming from. And that's when I came to the conclusion that maybe they were trying not to get us old head Trekkies to watch, but they were trying to get some of those younger people. But like I said, young people aren't stupid. They just they were being pandered to, and the majority of them on their other videos don't like it. Now that's leaving out the right wing people. You know, they're on a campaign and they are rolling. And I looked at them, and it's just all you heard was woke and DEI. I mean, it's just like it's like a trending song or something that they love. And, you know, it's almost like you can count it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, whoa. 1, 2, 3, 4, DEI. I mean, it was a hot mess. They're just mean. They're just nasty. And except for that one young man, I say he had to be about 27 or something. Because, you know, he doesn't know about the Star Trek history. And he doesn't realize how shocking this was for anybody that's not that young. And it was like a cheap version of Star Trek we watched. And the third episode did not improve on 1 and 2 at all. It just got messy. Now, I tried to find out a few things about the characters in it. One of the things I didn't like was the Klingon voice. I felt like they were dubbing his voice because he sounds like a person that's deliberately talking low. And he was. Every time he talked, it sounded like you can see his mouth move a lot of times when he talked. And there's just an incredible amount of mumbling in this episode. But the Klingon, he just didn't feel like that should have been a Klingon, because he was not acting like a Klingon, and that was the purpose of him. That's what they meant to do. But they really took the fun out of the Klingon. I mean, it's just it. And you couldn't hear his voice good, and every time he spoke, his mouth was this way, and then the voice was always abnormally low. It doesn't sound like he had to deliberately try to change his voice. And the reason I say, because Worf on Star Trek previous episodes, really, that was that man's voice. But this wasn't this Klingon's voice. So, and they were dubbing him, in my opinion. And let's move on to the next thing. I wrote the notes down twice. And next, the opening credits are dull. There's no excitement to it. You just want to have young people out there doing something. If you're going to have everybody acting like they're just supercharged with things, you should have a bouncing thing, something like the original Star Trek theme, where it's just energetic. It was violins rolling, a flower growing out the ground. The worst Star Trek opening I've ever seen. And let's see what else here. I want to like Holly Robinson. Holly Winters. Holly Hunter. She's been alive as much as I've been alive, so I should know her name. And I do like her, but not in this role. They've had Holly Hunter for 2 episodes now, rolling around with no shoes on. I didn't realize she didn't have no shoes on some of that stuff she was doing in the second season, and didn't pay much attention to it in the first season. But the first episode, she was extra lazy acting. Not the acting, but lazy in her body movements on it. She was always wallowing around on a chair or a sofa, and even in the office, she put her bare feet up on the table. And I'm trying to figure. I just had not seen a captain, person in charge in Star Trek act like that. I didn't like it. So, but I still like Holly Hunter. She's good. She's done her good stuff, but I didn't like the bare feet. And poor old Karis Brooks character Sam. To make that more palatable for that young lady, why didn't they explain more about what she was? I had to go on to Google and find out what her character was, because they have not explained hardly anything about her. And why is her personality ultra bubbly? It's hard to watch the old girl. And so, but her name is Karis Brooks. Character is Sam, and Sam is for. Well, he had some term for it, but I don't know what it was. And second of all, one of the things I did get wrong was the name of the young Latin guy that was pursuing the young lady in this. I don't like either one of them, so I didn't say a lot of good things, and I think that upset some people. But I didn't. I mean, they're just mismatched. Everybody's mismatched for what they're trying to do. It's miscasting 101. You didn't play to the person's own physique and life. I would have liked to see Gina Yashir in a regular outfit instead of all that she had on. I still don't know what she was. I didn't look that up, but you can't remember all of the characters on there, but I don't know really what species she was supposed to be. But that would have been better if she was just a regular woman shouting out commands in the Starfleet. They didn't have to just put her on about $5,000 worth of makeup each show, but they did. And let's see. And I got, and the young lady that's in there that I'm not fond of, I think the one named Zoe, the girlfriend to the young Latin guy, her name is Zoe. And I think they would have done better if they got somebody else, because this young lady looks like she needs to be on that Netflix show Bridgerton. She's too delicate for Star Trek. She's too miniature in scope and size. And so it was miscasting 101. And what else I wrote on here? Raimi is macho. And what's his name? So is Sandro Rasta. They're just two alpha males in there. And I got his name wrong because I was putting the name of the Raimi onto the other macho guy that were constantly competing with each other. And then the last one was the thing that just kind of turned me off too, was that they had the Vulcans on the team acting un-Vulcan. They threw the bird at at the competing teams they were training with, and were just acting like they were not Vulcans. No logic coming through, no restraint. They were acting just like regular humans. And so, and the young lady that was a Vulcan, I couldn't believe they had her throwing the bird at somebody, because that is, in the Vulcan's word, illogical. Yeah. Okay. And what other gems did I see that you might want to know before you not watch this? I put in there after I watched it the first time. They need to lock this episode in a vault and never come back. Oh, this may be one of those shows where they have it and they say it was a dream episode or something, and they never reference it again. That's what it looks like we're approaching to on this. This is just a abnormal variation in the Star Trek world. But like I said, though, it's calmed down a little bit for all of the talking about it by the opposite teams that don't like Star Trek, and only other name you can call them is right wingers, and they're just having a field day. So just wait till episode 4 comes out. They're gonna have another field day, because I thought it would improve on episode 3. It just didn't. Okay. Well, that's all I got for right now. I just wanted to make sure I checked in on a snowy day. We're in the snowy weekend, going into the snowy week. So I hope you all have a good one, and I'll be maybe checking this out again. But thank you all for the people that subscribed and the people that watched. I'm overwhelmed. I have never experienced anything like that on YouTube. And YouTube was emailing me, you got so-and-so thousands of this and that. And I thought, is this an error? And I kept looking. And I heard people say when you go on YouTube Studio, you have to go out there and just keep looking. I had to keep looking. And then there were so many comments, bad and good. But I wanted to answer them all, because I truly appreciated the bad and the good from the people, because they're the ones that told me, that one person said, I need to stop hesitating and just say the things that I hesitated not to say, because he felt like the right wingers out there are saying everything that they want to say about it, and that you should say the things you want to say about them and their attitude. And that made sense. So in the future, I will be being a little bit more blunter and accept the criticism because of it, because Star Trek fans are loyal. And I'm going to tell you, this is not the end of Star Trek. It's just a huge bump, because what Paramount should look at is the fact that people responded to this Star Trek like it was almost like it was like an evil sister. Instead of it being extra good that people praised, it was extra bad that people watched just to criticize. But it shows how much everybody felt about it. And the Trekkies were just hurt. I mean, I was just like, how could you do this to us? And you didn't respect your old Trekkies, and a minimal amount of new Trekkies liked it because they don't know anything better. So, and handing that over to a group of people that is just riding like a cowboy on this, I tell you, some of them I just look at and it's like, I just enjoyed just watching it, because it was bad hearing them talk like that. But like I said, you could just count down the seconds and the minutes to the words DEI and woke. That is their favorite, absolute favorite term. And I'm sitting there looking like, oh, and I didn't know that Gina Yashir and the young teacher from the other previous Star Trek were supposed to be lovers in this thing. And I maybe that's why it was just triggering all the right wing people, and all the others. There's so many bad things with it. I didn't notice something that might have been halfway decent until the second time I watched it, when they mentioned they were going to have dinner together and eat lobster and stuff. And I thought, wait a minute, I had to run it back, and they let you know that they were together. And I thought, oh, now that's cute. I said, I don't know how they're going to get together with all that armor on Gina Yashir's face. But it was good. it was good to double take it to see. But I think that's about it for me on that. I said I'm gonna hesitate when they come out with the next episode Thursday. So, but I think I might keep it up for you, because this is a trigger episode. These are trigger episodes. Anyway, I've talked way too long. Have a good day.